Hi there. Welcome to the review segment of our show. And good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Mama. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
I've been out and about.
Yeah, I see that. I see that you've been.
I'm sure some people have been wondering, Papa no away. I've been out and about. But it's good to see you again, and looking lovely as usual. Well, let me quickly ask you, what's your power situation been like over these last few days? Let's say over the festivities.
Oh, it's just, it goes off. But I think my low voltage thing is, it happens more often than the
power actually going off
itself. I think 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, it was going off a lot. But now it's the low voltage.
And the low voltage is actually the thing, because that's what can really mess up your equipment. Guess what? I went somewhere yesterday and a house suddenly burst into flames. Yes. Apparently there was some electrical fault. I cannot tell, of course. I cannot create any nexus linkage between this and maybe what has been happening. But one thing we do know is that when your equipment, whether it's your fridge, if you don't have a fridge guard, for example, your AC and all of that, if this kind of on-off is going on, and especially if you've left gadgets on and you're not at home, that could be fatal.
Yeah, true.
You know? So I'm just hoping this is remedied, because when the lights go off, it creates a lot of inconvenience. But at least when it's off, your gadgets are not going through the sort of crisis they go through when it just keeps switching. And I've seen a lot of people posting. I posted on social media trying to solicit people's views, and some are saying it's like a disco, others are, that kind of feeling. And someone actually mentioned on the SMS the other day that for him, he's actually lost a lot of gadgets on the back of all of this. So the hope is that things do get better, and we get out of this.
That's the thing, except that this kind of conversation always gets, people just say it as it is. Yesterday, I said it on the show. It is doomsday that we're experiencing.
I was just about to ask you, what do you think? Is this doomsday or not?
It is.
If the light goes off, it is doom.
It is.
When it comes back, it is so.
It is. It's just that in terms of how to fix this, we've had the bigger plan from Gridco. And so we're all waiting for them to complete the works that they've been talking about. We know they've given up to December for
is
the
that
people
really
in the
how
Ashanti
to
region,
fix
for
this?
Instance. Well, that's what they say.
The phraseology, is that really how to fix this?
They're the technical people, so we can go with what they've said. Except that I don't know if the low voltage also has to do, because this was way before we got to even this period. In my area, for instance, I've been experiencing this for a very long time.
How long?
So I've been there for 4 years, and I think it's been like this.
Okay.
It's been like this.
For me, it's water.
So,
water is what has been my major headache.
Okay.
Yes, water.
Okay.
I guess in different parts of Accra, when you go, you'll find places where it is electricity, other places it's water. If you remember Adenta, those areas from way back, even currently, but it's way better now. And some places it is both electricity and water.
Well, fortunately for me, so here's what I'll try and get some local, the local situation in terms of what the challenge is with my area.
In your neighborhood, right.
For those of you who use Nsawam, I think I have some connections. I can find out a few details and come and share on the show.
So, and you can share with us as well in the course of today.
Yeah, so I'll come and share what is our problem, what is our situation, and how far it goes, so that if you live, I live in Kutusi, I know that Nsawam Nsawam manages my area, so I can find out what the problem is, and then we can share.
What do we call it? Community watch? Community report?
Yeah, maybe that's because in terms of I don't know if the solution that Gridco is describing is what will solve my local challenge.
Right.
You get it?
Right.
So maybe we should look at it from that angle.
You can make yourself a reporter. Yeah, report from your community.
Just go to
Let us know, and who knows, by putting it out here, we just might get the right authorities to remedy the situation. Let's dig into the papers.
Let's start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. This is one of those stories, like I still can't think far that a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old will kill a 10-year-old just because they want to make money. I mean, and so on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, they brought pictures of the two guys who did this.
These are children, basically, and they've killed another child.
Yeah, they wanted money. money. So they hit the boy. Oh, already.
I don't think the description. We shouldn't get too way into the description.
They actually lured him. They said that they were going to play with him. Took him to an uncompleted building and just hit him, just killed him, and they wanted to bury him and dig him out during the nights so that nobody would see it. Like, just the whole idea of these two people you see on the front page.
So this is cold-blooded, planned
doing this
murder.
Like, it's.
But in the eyes of the law, that's where it becomes problematic, because these are still juveniles.
Do they know what they have done? Do they?
If you want to, in law, they would look at the mens rea, the actus reus, I mean, the criminal mind or the intent in there, as well as the action. And it's clear that, well, at least I'm not a judge, I shouldn't start. But when you look at the sequence of events it would show you that there was some planning that went into this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the law bit, I appreciate that. I'm just asking a humane question in terms of these are, like you said, these are also children. Do they know what they have done? Were they just...
The full, I don't know, consequences or reality of what they've done, I cannot tell. It depends on their psychological state. What even made them do this? Yes, we know they wanted to perform some money rituals, but even the understanding of that and the understanding of taking someone's life to get this, it might be problematic getting into that.
So
you might need psychologists, psychiatrists for these young ones.
So they say that there was a priest who had asked them to get body parts. And then he could use it and get the money. So they were under the direction.
Priest, you might want to clarify, a fetish priest?
Fetish, yes.
Right.
Under the direction of a certain fetish priest who had asked them to go and get body parts. So that was it. Go and bring the body parts for money.
Do we know this fetish priest yet?
Police are still looking for, but at least they've indicated that he is in the Volta region, either in the Volta region or from the Volta region.
Right. And I pose that question because in all my readings, I've not come across anything about the fetish priest
from or in the Volta region. Yeah. So that's the issue. All right. Okay. Let me just. It really doesn't make sense. Like some persons have said, 16-year-old, 17-year-old. What are you doing with the money? Like if you got $1 million today, what would you do with it?
Well, let me tell you something interesting. It appears young people today, a lot of young people, first of all, are doing things that when we were their age, or maybe in the teens or in the early 20s, we were not doing, probably had no good idea about, and it amazes you. You interact sometimes with some of these young people, and sometimes I play the role of counselor in certain ways, and it would amaze you some of what they know and can tell you, things that back then were unthinkable. So I am not particularly surprised that this is happening. Plus, another thing I've realized about our society, and it's something we pretend isn't there, we try to run away from it. A lot of young people today want to get rich quick, but they don't want to get rich through the right means. Any shortcut they can use, they will use, and that's one right there. So it also goes down to the fabric of our society and reorienting our young people.
Well, back on the front page, Rastafarian student drags Achimota school to court. It's actually Child Rights International assisting Tyrone Maguire, one of the Rastafarian students who was refused admission by Achimota school to affirm his fundamental human right in court. The application filed Okay, so the applicants who filed the instant action before the Accra High Court is seeking the enforcement and declaration of their right to education. I think there's an application for interlocutory injunction that will be heard by the court on April 13. Okay, so details of that. All of the details around this court issues in the paper. Accra sewage system poised to expand operations. Tons of fish, dolphins washed ashore in Accra. Axim Fisheries Ministry launches investigations into cause of death. It's actually one of our big conversations on the AM show. Today we've got the FDA joining us, also the AMA, the Health Directorate. So what do we know? The FDA's main concern, I guess, for all of us is so we don't purchase these fishes. But are they already on the market?
I think it's a bit too late.
Are they already on the market? In what form, you know?
Per what we've heard, Mama, people have already purchased these. And you know, there are 2 points to look at around the Osu Castle area, the beach there, and we have the Axim one. And obviously, I mean, but sometimes you see the sort of thinking in this country, I don't get it sometimes. You see fish that is dead. You don't ask yourself how they got ashore, because usually the sea has a way of purging itself of some of these things. When you see that, you should automatically know there is something wrong. People are gathering the thing, and by the time, in the case of Accra, people, the authorities got there, people had grabbed some of it already, and others were now, the fisher folk were now suffering the consequences, because in some places, people were afraid to buy from them, thinking that it could be some of the dead fish. You see these, is it dolphins or orcas, and you start, in fact, by the time they got there, some people had already carted off some, had chopped them into pieces, were selling them. You're not asking yourself how they got washed ashore. They don't wash ashore. So if you see them washing ashore, you must know there's something wrong. I've seen that release from the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture saying they are conducting this toxicology report. I really want to see what is in there, because it could also point to some very bad things happening in our waters, which could be, good reason for concern. But my biggest worry, those who have consumed these items, what happens to them? Maybe it may not be now, but I don't know.
So join us as we bring you details of what we know so far about what has been found. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, Hearts brush aside Aduana Stars. It was a very authoritative win, and it takes Accra Hearts of Oak, champion Accra Hearts of Oak, to third on the table.
When you started going on and on, I thought you were even going to say it takes you to first. You're relishing in being third place, like really?
Oh.
I won't bite the bait this morning. This morning, I'll allow you to go on and on about your Accra Hearts of Old.
It's okay. Hearts of Oak, it's not a competition.
Actually, when it comes to Kotoko, you can't even compete.
It's not a race.
Let's not even.
But the point is, why do you fear when you hear me say Hearts of Oak?
Actually,
it's not like some catch you or something.
If there's any phobia, that catches anybody,
phobia, you can't help it.
It is your phobia. Your team's phobia of winning. When was the last time you even won this trophy?
Ben,
okay. The Daily Dispatch now.
Hearts of Oak's win.
The Daily Dispatch newspaper.
You can't even talk about exactly what Kotoko did.
The Daily Dispatch newspaper now.
That's what you can do.
And I'm just trying to avoid nailing your Hearts of Oak even further and making your team look very bad. Inusaf Hussaini on minority in Parliament. Majority Leader's subtle endorsement of Bawumia. It's unwise to bring another Akan as flag bearer after Akufo-Addo. That is Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu. I'll just take a bit of that, and it's on the back page of the paper. Majority Leader in Parliament Osei Mensah Bonsu has intimated that it will not be wise or prudent on the part of the MPP, which has been tagged an Akan party, to present another Akan after the tenure of Nana Addo as flag bearer. According to him, presenting another Akan as its flag bearer will give credence and validate the assertion that the MPP is an Akan party and does not respect other ethnic groups in the country. He made this known while speaking on Accra-based Joy News, The Probe, which was monitored by, this paper. And so at least some good work MFA Apau has been doing in that regard. Interesting times indeed. I don't know how the party will receive this sort of analysis from the majority leader. And he's saying that as a result of that, he is not even going to contest, though he qualifies. He's not going to contest. But there are others who are diehards in the party, Akans, who may not agree with him.
Does he want to be president? He wants to be president.
But do you think when he was told, what is your number? Do you think he was... You, which number are you? When he was told, and the speaker can prepare number.
Yesterday I said, I am number one. Okay. We are number one because you see Henny.
Ayo.
Without us, there won't be a number one. Yeah.
I wonder whether they think same. Okay. On the back page of
they will know that on December 7.
Ayo. They only know that when it's election time. Forget it. Government's community mining program, a disguised galamsey. And guess who's saying this? Ochehene, the Achim Ebuakwa Traditional Council has threatened to resist government's community mining program instituted in the Achim area and other places in Ghana. According to the Traditional Council, the program, which was introduced to regulate illegal small-scale mining nationwide, has rather further degraded lands and caused pollution to water bodies in the Ebuakwa area. And the overlord of Achim Ebuakwa, Ochehene Osagyefo Anwetio Foripening, has been speaking. He was addressing the Eastern Regional Minister, Seth Echampong. Grab further details of that in the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Also in this paper, NDC leadership should tell its supporters the painful truth about the numbers. An Anglican bishop endorses Bawumia. You are the leader Ghana needs. Quite some glowing praise the Anglican bishop actually poured on Mr. Vice President.
Let's jump into the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page, calm down. Agencies probe cause of dead fishes. There's been a general assurance that the ocean is safe for consumption, as in fish stock from the country's ocean is safe. This story by Doche Kobla Akloboto in Second D details what has happened, and the assurance has been given even as investigations continue. Make High Life national treasure, according to veteran artists. Details of that story is in page 16. There's something that was launched where some prominent High Life musicians, were making this advocacy. This is the High Life is Alive fan club set up to promote and help develop the musical art form. So we had great legends such as A.B. Krenzel, Jedouble Ambole, and Bessa Simons. Ambole said something. He says when you listen to Stonebwoy, he sings in Jamaican patois, and some of them even call themselves dancehall kings. But how can you be a king over a genre you are not an originator? Posing some questions just to get people thinking. So there's also Ni Krotia the First. He actually chairs this fan club, and he says that he's advocating for the establishment of a yearly international High Life festival to consciously make the genre gain roots in other parts of the world to further help its development. So a lot about High Life and how we can take it to a whole different level on page 16 in the paper. And then paper is also reporting on the quiet Easter Monday. Yeah, what you expect when police is holding canes and standing at the beaches. If you like, go, you'll see. There's a write-up. Yesterday, I had you engaging the Greater Accra Regional Minister on radio. There's an opinion by Rodney on page 10 in the Daily Graphic newspaper. And that is titled Fighting Lawlessness with Lawlessness. And he talks about the picture circulating on social media where people are asked to, people have been punished physically in different manners. So the picture that comes with his piece is that of some people kneeling, really. Hey, Radigana. Like it's like, how do you do these things? Because, that's lawlessness. You can't do that. You can't punish someone on the spot like that. Like, what authority do you have to do that? But some people also argue you can't take everybody to prison. You can't arrest everybody and say, go to police station, let's do the paperwork and that kind of thing. He shares a very good piece on that.
Speaking on lawlessness, I asked the regional minister about this, but something else we spoke about was the use of sirens. And the law is very clear on that. His Excellency, the President, and some others, like the ambulance service, the Ghana Police Service, who by law can use these. And some government officials even who have been using them do not qualify, yet they use them. Something interesting he said was that he himself had a siren in his car. I asked him, do you have a siren in your car? He said yes, but I don't use it. And that he uses the motorcade And I asked him whether he was going to. He said no. And that for government officials who use it illegally, he's going to speak to the chief of staff to have letters sent to them so that they stop doing it. And if they don't, there'll be punitive measures. I hope he meant it, because I'm going to be following up on that to ensure that what he said actually happens.
Amen. Well, so what do you make of the instant punishment that you are asked to kneel, to either
that's
sweep or to pick litter? Sometimes they make you squat as well.
The reality is that's not the law. You don't have the right to do that. And these sometimes can border on human rights issues.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is, it's like with the mask wearing, and Samson Ladi Ayinini has been saying it a lot of the time. To put someone or process someone for court and then maybe throw them in jail versus a spot fine or some little thing, let's call it community service. I think so. You have to weigh it from those two different perspectives. And I'm sure the people would rather want to do some of these things than end up behind bars.
Yeah. So let's stick to the law, I guess. In the center spread, the country expects to take delivery of 300,000 more COVID-19 vaccines this week as part of a campaign to vaccinate 20 million people before the end of the year. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. On the back page, work on Daboya Bridge starts this year, according to the Vice President, and review community mining program. Ochihin, that's another angle to what you just shared a while ago. That's it for the Daily Graphic.
Let's do the National Enquirer. Usually, but today there are quite some interesting headlines in there. SSNIT blows 1.1 billion Ghana cedi pensioners cash on ghost projects, loses another 2.37 million Ghana cedis in non-performing loans. Then there's stop the atrocious arrest and bullying of journalists now, and we've heard again of the WhatsApp News editor. Then the return of Dumsor power sector collapsing. Gridco heavily broke, John Jinapo reveals. And then no room for LGBTQI+ in Ghana as we can't force polygamy on you. Speaker Bagbin tells Australian High Commissioner. The Australian High Commissioner has been speaking again about how disappointing it would be if Ghana went on to do certain things in that direction. It's a whole bit, isn't it?
He can have his say.
Okay.
This is our country.
And the speaker has been saying,
we'll have our way.
We can't force polygamy on you, so...
That's it.
But, Mama, you should check out this one. Now, it's one of those artistic impressions. Do you remember the box iron period? Secondary school. So you see this person with a box iron in one hand, in the right hand, in fact, and a lantern in the other. It's black and white, so even if I put it up, you wouldn't probably see it. But it's the writing. Do you remember, back then, some of the songs? So this one says, electricity te sadwa neko neba pam pam panam pam pam BB besi. Hey, BB besi. That's actually, I'm not inventing it. That's what is written there. Mama, can you see it?
I can't.
Before someone says I'm inventing it.
For your own sake, you need to go and grab a lantern.
You need to grab it
and a box iron, because before you get frustrated, make sure that you have charcoal by you.
It's something. So that's it. I'll just maybe take a little bit about the SSNIT bit. It says the Auditor General's Department has exposed the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. It says exposed, not my wording, for blowing a whopping National Enquirer. It's no whooping. It's no whooping cough. It's whopping amount of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis. An equivalent of $185 million of pensioners' money on ghost projects carelessly. You might want to grab a copy of the paper to get the details, but it just says that the huge amount, according to the AG, in its 1,000-page 2019 report of public boards, corporations, and other statutory institutions, was pumped into two curious housing projects in the Greater Accra region, Klagon and Sakumono. You want to check out the paper for more details. But this just tells me there's a whole lot of wind that is blowing still on the back of Domelevo's departure. He's left, but some of the things he did are still, hanging some people, some groups, and biting them in the rear. Anyway, that's it for the National Enquirer newspaper.
Final one, The Finder. Most of the stories are stories that we've seen. Also, this angle, Speaker raises objection to promotion of the LGBTQ+ agenda. So I'm just going to skip, really, because we're familiar with most of the stories on the front page of the final newspaper today.
And I'll do same with the Daily Guide because it's basically the same stories that we've been looking at. But then again, I'll do the artistic impression in the Daily Guide newspaper. It says Dumsor timetable. That's on page 3. And there's someone down below an electric pole or pylon asking, Mr. Gridco, the people want a Dumsor timetable. What we for do? And that person is holding an ECG card. So this is someone from ECG, the ECG boss likely. And the man on the pole says, Dem sabi Jesus second coming timetable. So Jesus, the second coming, do they know the timetable? I'm on for us and go baby. Now you need timetable.
But we shouldn't really be asking Gridco for a timetable. We should be asking ECG. We are their customers.
So here's the thing, ECG, to put things in the proper perspective, ECG is not the cause of what exactly is happening. Now, if Gridco,
we don't know, they serve us, so we ask them the questions.
They are the distributors, just as Netco would be. But the point being that if Gridco doesn't, that's the whole point of the artistic impression. If Gridco doesn't feed them with the information, their hands are tied. There's nothing they can pass on.
As for us, we don't care. We're just going to put pressure on ECG because they are the ones that we pay money to.
But in this instance, really.
Do you pay money to Gridco?
We should be holding Gridco.
Do you pay money to Gridco?
No, I don't pay to Gridco.
Yes.
But Gridco is in the power mix, and they are directly responsible. I'm not saying we should let ECG go.
Let ECG put pressure on Gridco. Let it go like that.
Okay, that's one way.
That's the only way you succeed.
But I believe, but ECG could always, fob you off and tell you, it's not my issue. It's not my problem.
Tell that to the customer.
They've told us that all the time.
Say that.
It's like NEPA, like in Nigeria. Like what
you can't say that to the customer. You take my money. You take my money. You should be able to explain things.
Have you paid attention to all those suits in the past against some of these bodies? Let me tell you, they end up nowhere in Ghana.
Oh no, but
there's nothing. There's basically nothing you can do.
But this time they all feel the pressure, and that's why they're coming up with all sorts of this is not this. This is what. To the ordinary person, we're experiencing power cuts, and it is called Dumsor. Whether it is localized, it's some external work, whatever, what the people are asking from the providers is for you to give us a certain schedule so that we can work according to it. I guess that's what it is. What's hard about it?
Mama, are you going to do myjoyonline.com? Before that, though, DNFT, just the headline, rising cost of debt requires all hands on deck approach. That's according to the World Bank. I've been reading a lot on this recently, and I keep getting more and more worried about it. Appears we're robbing Peter to pay Paul. We keep borrowing to service our debts, and we're digging ourselves into a hole. I'm hoping it doesn't become a hole that a lot of us will have to pay for.
Yes. We're always hoping, aren't we? All right, we're hoping that sports will come up, but that's not something we can hope for. It is definitely coming up right after this, and then we'll talk about the issue of those fishes with the FDA and the AMA. We'll get our correspondent to also give us some update. Stay with us.